delivering safer neighborhoods. Support Center in Rhyl aims to transform lives. A summer sports fund keeping young people engaged. An estimated 40% reduction in crime over the festive period. This is the story North Wales Police and the local council want you to see. A story of progress, community engagement, and proactive policing. A story where the biggest problems are being managed with neighborhood policing teams and positive initiatives. It's a clean story, it's a simple story, and it's the one they are telling. But this is the story they aren't telling. On these same streets, just behind the freshly painted promenade and away from the photo opportunities, a very different reality is unfolding. A reality that statistics about reduced crime don't quite capture. A reality that has locals looking over their shoulders. I'm here to find out what the people living here, day in and day out, are actually experiencing. I'm here to ask why the official narrative feels so different from the one whispered on street corners, in betting shops, and behind closed doors. This is what North Wales Police aren't telling you about Rhyl. To understand what's being kept quiet, you first have to understand what's being said out loud and publicly. The message is one of control and improvement. If you follow the official channels, you'll see a steady stream of positive reinforcement. North Wales Police and the Police and Crime Commissioner Andy Dunbobbin are keen to highlight their work. They talk about the clear hold build strategy, a multi-agency initiative called Project Renew, which they credit with a 14% drop in recorded crime after its launch. This impact reportedly included over 180 arrests for things like drugs and public order offenses, and hundreds of stop searches. They proudly point to figures showing antisocial behavior is down in certain periods. They highlight public space protection orders, or PSPOs, in place since 2016, as an additional tool to tackle things like street drinking. They announce these orders with overwhelming public support, a sign that they're listening and taking action. They celebrate a 40% reduction in crime on key festive dates, attributing it to a robust and visible presence. The Police and Crime Commissioner is regularly seen visiting the town, hearing about how officers are working to reduce antisocial behavior, and discussing a steady and welcome decline in offenses. He visits green spaces to see how the Summer Sports Fund is helping young people. There are press releases about seizing e-scooters and using them as educational tools, and about new support centers transforming lives. On the surface, it's a compelling narrative. It paints a picture of a police force that is proactive, data-driven, and deeply engaged with the community. They are tackling the issues, the numbers are going down, and the town is on an upward trajectory. It's a story of regeneration, a story that suggests the problems, while historic, are being taken apart piece by piece. But the problem with this story is that for many people who actually live here, it feels like a work of fiction. The gap between the official statistics and the lived experience is a chasm, and it's in that chasm that the real story of Rhyl lives. The moment you step off the main promenade, the story begins to change. The regeneration projects are real, but they can feel like a thin veneer. You see the empty storefronts, the to let signs that have gathered a year's worth of grime. You see the groups of men and women who start drinking early in the day, their laughter sharp and loud, echoing in the quiet high street. You feel the atmosphere shift. It's a feeling that's hard to quantify in a crime statistic. It's an air of apathy, a sense of a town that's been left behind despite the glossy brochures claiming otherwise. I stopped to talk to a man who has run a small convenience store here for over 20 years. For his own safety, he asked that I not use his name. "Look," he says, gesturing out the window. "They talk about crime going down. What crime? The crime they want to measure. Do they measure the feeling in your gut when a group of lads in hoods stands outside your door for 3 hours just staring? Do they measure the customers who won't come in after 4 p.m.? No. They measure burglaries. They measure car theft. They don't measure the slow decay. He tells me about the shoplifting. It's constant. He claims that just yesterday, 2 men walked out with over £6,000 worth of goods from shops in Rhyl and nearby towns. But it's the daily low-level stuff that grinds you down. It's not just the stealing, he continues, his voice low. It's the aggression. You ask them to leave. They spit at you. They threaten you. You call the police. Maybe they come. An hour later, 2 hours. Sometimes they just give you a crime number over the phone. I had a window smashed last month. They logged it. That was it. Logged. What does that mean? It means nothing changes. The new promenade is lovely, for the tourists, for the day trippers. But we have to live here when they go home. The police aren't telling you about the exhaustion, the feeling that you're just on your own. They come for a photo op with the commissioner, patrol for a week, and then they're gone again. It's a show. We're living in the reality. His story isn't unique. I spoke to an elderly woman waiting for a bus, clutching her handbag so tightly her knuckles were white. She's lived in Rhyl her whole life. It used to be a beautiful place, she said, not looking at me, but at the street, bustling, families everywhere. Now I don't go out after dark, even in the summer. It's the noise, the shouting, the language. You see them, you know they're on something. Their eyes are just gone. You can have all the police plans in the world, but if you don't have officers walking here, on this pavement, every single day, what's the point? They're not telling you how scared we are. Not of being murdered, but of everything else. The constant, low-level fear. That's the story of Rhyl. Now, this is the reality gap. While official reports boast of declining crime, residents talk of declining hope. While the police celebrate proactive strategies, locals feel a reactive, and often absent, presence. So what are the incidents that don't make the official reports? What is the reality that is being so carefully managed? It's not one single headline-grabbing event. It's 1,000 corrosive moments that, when woven together, create a picture of deep-seated social decay. The official narrative struggles with nuance. It can report an arrest for drug dealing, but it can't report the atmosphere of a housing estate where dealers operate with impunity. It can log a call about antisocial behavior, but it can't convey the feeling of being trapped in your own home, because a gang of youths has decided the street outside is theirs. Earlier today, I met a young woman. Let's call her Chloe. She's in her early 20s and grew up in the town's West End, an area which in the Welsh Index of Multiple Deprivation from 2019 was ranked as the most deprived in all of Wales. The police aren't telling you about the kids, she told me, pulling her sleeves over her hands. Not the ones playing in their summer sports fund, the other ones, the ones who are 14, 15, and they're already running things for older guys. They're not just hanging around. They're messengers. They're lookouts. They're moving stuff around. Everyone knows it. You see the cars pull up. The quick exchange. It happens in broad daylight. She talks about county lines, a term the police use frequently in their broader strategies, but she describes it from the ground level. It's not some big mystery. It's the lad you went to primary school with. Suddenly he's got new trainers, a new phone, and he's not in school anymore. And then you hear about houses being cuckooed, where they take over a vulnerable person's flat to use as a base. The police talk about property closure notices, and they've issued a few. But for every one they close, another 3 seem to pop up. It's a game of whack-a-mole. They're not telling you how deeply embedded it is, how it's become a career path for some kids, because they don't see any other options. The problem is, these aren't easily prosecutable offenses until it's too late. A group of kids being intimidating isn't a crime until they assault someone. A car pulling up on a street corner isn't a crime until a deal is proven. So this activity, this constant simmering threat, exists in a gray area that policing strategies, with their focus on hard statistics, fail to address. This leads to a feeling of abandonment. Of course, horrific incidents do break through the noise and make the headlines. Serious assaults or major trafficking investigations that rock the community. But what locals are trying to scream about are the thousands of incidents that form the valley floor. The daily drug use, the open street drinking, the normalization of criminality as a part of the town's landscape. Chloe looked away for a moment. They're not telling you what it does to your head. Living like this, you go numb to it. You stop expecting anything better. That's the real crime, isn't it? When an entire community just gives up hope. Stories like Chloe's and the shopkeepers are why I started this channel. It's not about attacking the police for the sake of it. It's about giving a voice to the people who feel they aren't being heard. The people who are living in the middle of this disconnect. If you believe these voices need to be heard, that these stories matter more than just statistics on a page, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because we have to keep asking the questions that the authorities don't want to answer. So why is there such a gulf between the official story and the street-level reality? Why the careful curation of information? The answer is complex, and it's not necessarily about a deliberate, malicious cover-up. It's about perception, resources, and the very nature of modern policing. Firstly, there's the regeneration narrative. Denbighshire County Council and other bodies have poured millions into Rhyl to change its fortunes. They've built the SC2 water park, improved the promenade, and have plans for new facilities. This investment relies on projecting an image of a town on the up, acknowledging the deep systemic issues of crime, deprivation, and social decay is counterproductive to that image. It's hard to attract investment and tourism when the headlines are about street crime and hopelessness, so a positive spin is maintained. Secondly, it's about resources. North Wales Police, like any force, has finite resources. It's far easier and more cost-effective to run a community engagement event, launch a crime prevention campaign, or focus on traffic offenses than it is to tackle entrenched, multi-generational poverty and the crime it breeds. The clear hold-build strategy sounds impressive, but the hold and build phases require immense long-term investment from multiple agencies in housing, healthcare, education, and employment. The police can do the clear phase, executing warrants and making arrests, but they can't solve the underlying problems that cause the crime in the first place. Acknowledging the true scale of the problem would be admitting that policing alone is not the answer, and that's a difficult admission for any police force to make. Finally, it comes down to what is measured. Modern policing is driven by metrics. Reductions in specific categories of reported crime look good on a report to the Police and Crime Panel. They are tangible successes, but a pervasive feeling of dread among the elderly is not a metric. The number of children being groomed into county lines who haven't been caught yet is not a statistic you can put in a press release. The system is designed to report on what can be counted, not necessarily what counts. So the police aren't telling you the full story, because in some ways, they can't. They are trapped in a cycle of needing to project success to justify their funding and strategies, while simultaneously being unable to solve the deep-rooted social problems that the residents of Rhyl face every single day. They focus on what they can do, run initiatives, increase patrols during flashpoints, and manage public perception. But what they can't do is admit that the problems of Rhyl are far bigger than their ability to solve them. They can't tell you that they are fighting a losing battle against poverty, hopelessness, and the decades of neglect that have left places like West Rhyl to rot. That's the truth that gets lost between the lines of the official reports. We started this journey with the story that North Wales police are telling, a story of falling crime rates, community engagement, and a town on the mend. But as we've walked these streets and listened to the voices of those who call this place home, a different story has emerged. A story of fear, of frustration, and of a profound disconnect between official narratives and daily life. The things North Wales police aren't telling you aren't necessarily conspiracies. They are uncomfortable truths. The truth that statistics can lie. The truth that regeneration is more than just a new coat of paint on a promenade. And the most difficult truth of all, that the core problems plaguing this town are so deep, so complex, that no amount of positive press releases can fix them. The unreported story of Rhyl is one of quiet desperation and a community that feels it has been forgotten behind a wall of carefully constructed good news. So I'll ask you, what is the real story of Rhyl? Is it the one you read in official reports, or the one you hear from the people living it? Let me know what you think in the comments below.